All right, we'll call the Schenectady County Board of Commissioners to order for a board meeting. And the first item is invocation by Reverend Diane Stark.
Thank you. So we gather today, and so let us expand our awareness of opportunity, our awareness of possibility, our awareness of creativity. As we face a future together, standing on a foundation of freedom, justice, and mercy. And we give thanks. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Stark. The next item is Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And roll call, please.
Commissioner Brown,
Here.
Commissioner Steer,
Here.
Commissioner Hovey Wright, here, Commissioner Hughes,
Here.
Commissioner O'Leary,
Here.
Vice Chair Nash,
Here.
Commissioner Pagel, here, Chairman Skolnick,
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Here.
9 present.
You know, I had a note to myself to, I should have done this right after the invocation. I'd just like to have us take 15, 20 seconds of silence. This police officer that was wounded this weekend, I believe he was injured by being shot twice. Officer James Rogers, he was part of the Muskegon Heights Police Department. I think he should, from what I've heard, he's recovering and should be okay. But if we could just have a few minutes, a few seconds to remember him and say a silent prayer for his quick recovery. Okay, thank you. All right, next item is approval of the agenda. We need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, the motion has been supported. Are there any corrections or comments or anything anybody would like to bring up on the agenda? If not, we'll do a voice vote on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that's approved. The next item is approval of the minutes of October 12th, 2021, both the regular and the closed session.
Motion to support.
We have a motion that's been supported. Are there any questions or comments on that? You should have had the closed session minutes at your places today. If not, we'll do a voice vote on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Okay. Moving on. We'll do the committee and board reports now. The first item is public comment. Okay, this one. Oh, public comment. I'm sorry. That's important too. All right. Next, we have public comment on an agenda item. I have a stack of people here who would like to speak. First up is David Glassbach. If you would just go to the podium and give us your names and address.
Good afternoon. I'm David Glotz, the Fire Chief from Muskegon Township Fire Department, 1117 South Walker Road. I'd like to speak with you for a brief minute regarding the vehicle asset of the armored personnel vehicle, and I'm sure you're going to wonder why the Fire Chief talking about this. This vehicle actually will provide safety for all first responders, including fire personnel and also responding to a potential active shooter situation. As much as we don't want to think about that, in my career, there was never a thought to this type of work. It has turned into, we now carry ballistic helmets and heavy armored vests on our medical first response vehicle as required equipment to protect the medical first responders who now goal and requirement is to actually respond into an active shooter situation to try to render aid, That's the new standard. We have hundreds of hours of training for all of our fire personnel to be able to engage in and hopefully make it out safely, all in an effort to rescue potential victims. One of the things they teach us, park our fire trucks in a way to take the gunfire. We've got a unique vehicle available to us in this county to now save our fire apparatus at a cost of $750,000 plus, that frankly aren't armor protected, and give us a level of protection that will ensure we have armored protection. That vehicle is also mobile and can make entry into situations to rescue trapped people or insert medical first response personnel and or law enforcement personnel in order to rescue those individuals. I truly hope this commission will reconsider the direction that's going with this vehicle. It is truly an asset for all of us in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next is Ken Mahoney. I think you know the drill, 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Just give me the. Anyway. Okay, thank you and good to see all of you. I'm here to speak to the proposal about consolidating the clerk's office and the register of deeds. It seems to be a bit premature. The idea fits in with the pattern of some on the commission not thinking things through before making recommendations and acting on them. This proposal that was originally for succeeding from the county is a case in point. I am not sure what problem consolidation would solve. Clerk's office does not seem to have a service issue. The Register of Deeds office has had nothing but praise from the local realtor. The current proposal appears to me that no study of potential impact of the services on the citizens of this community was done and not pursued. In addition, I'm not sure what costs would be associated with consolidation. It's not going to be free. And I don't know if anyone has talked about what potential savings there are. I see a list of counties in this proposal that of those who have consolidated. I just wonder if any of those folks have contacted those counties as to the pros and cons of such a move. As a former commissioner, I never liked surprises and always wanted as much information as possible before making a decision. I would ask you push the pause button on this proposal and investigate it much deeper than you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Next up is Brandon Denby.
Good afternoon. Thank you for hearing us. I'm here again as well for the consolidation of the two offices. Before taking office as Livingston County Register of Deeds, I spent close to 20 years in title insurance, and I've worked across the counter from almost every Register of Deeds in the state, including here in Muskegon, which is a well-run office, by the way. Two of the big words that come to mind when speaking about our office when I got involved were efficiency and accountability. And offices that have been consolidated over the years have not been able to keep up with those efficiencies and accountability to their citizens. And I don't mean to speak ill of any of my colleagues who have been put into a position where they've had to work in a consolidated office, but I can tell you that it's not possible to build on those efficiencies because you have one person who is focused on running elections day in and day out, and that's the toughest part of a clerk's job if you ask any one of them. And so if they're working on that, they're not working on the Register of Deeds side of their office. And so that was always one of my big concerns when I got into office in Livingston County, was make sure that we didn't end up in that situation. Also, I've always felt it was a big problem because you take a voice away from the people as part of that accountability. When they go into that office and they need help, in my case, I'm standing right there to help them. And if I was working as a clerk register, I'd be working on the election problems that we're dealing with right now. And I would not be in that office and able to help them. My specialty was always in real estate and title insurance. And that's what most of what you're going to find in registered deeds offices. You're going to find people who are educated in that industry, and it has nothing to do with the clerk's office. So with all due respect, I would appreciate it if you guys reconsidered on this motion and chose not to go that route for the sake of title insurance and the real estate industries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bender. Next up is Stuart Sanders.
Excuse me, good afternoon. I'm Stu Sanders, Register of Deeds from the neighboring county of Newaygo, immediate past president of the Registers Association and legislative co-chair this year. I would urge you to reconsider, and I'm very definitely opposed to this initiative of combination for a lot of the reasons that Register Denby cited. Also, bringing to bear, these are two totally different offices that have been allowed to be combined according to state constitution, but they're very, very different offices. And you do lose many, many, many facets of service when those offices are combined. These are constitutional offices. They're not statutory. They're in the Constitution for a reason. The Register's office alone handles several $100 million worth of real estate, and probably in your county, it's well over $1 billion of conveyance docs with mortgages at a minimum attached that have been released throughout the entire economic stratosphere of your community. So with that said, it takes a tremendous amount of oversight. We're charged to make sure that we retain these records into perpetuity, and the registers across the state take it very seriously. So I'm, again, here opposing this initiative, and our association is as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Next is Tracy Dobson.
Tracy Dobson, 6635 Lau Road, Montague, Muskegon County. I stand in opposition to the resolution to combine the Office of County Clerk with the Register of Deeds in Muskegon County. The evidence available shows that this reshuffling of county offices would bring no cost savings to the county. At the same time, Muskegon County's clerk already has a huge and critically important set of governmental responsibilities for activities, including our very important elections. There is no excess capacity there to add work to the clerk's position, as has already been expressed by others who work in these areas. In my view, this is a nakedly political move by the resolution's Republican sponsors to remove an elected position currently held by a Democrat. It would not improve county governance, and that should be the standard that you use. I oppose the resolution and respectfully ask that the commissioners vote against it. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my position.
Thank you very much. Next is Steve Beck.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Beck, 3319 Scenic Drive, Muskegon. I'm a real estate broker. I'm the past president of the Muskegon County Association of Realtors before their merger, and I currently work at TransNation Title. And I'm here to speak also against the consolidation move to combine the clerk and the Register of Deeds. By voting to eliminate an elected county office, the board would dilute the ability of the clerk and the Register of Deeds office to effectively perform their duties. The focus of the Register of Deeds is timely recording of documents to promote economic investment and development in Muskegon. The clerk is more dealing with individual items such as birth, death, marriage, and voting, along with the county courts. The cost and benefits, as previously stated, don't match up at all. I did contact the Ottawa County Register of Deeds. They merged a number of years ago. They informed me that they are the only one of the 43 listed on your list that actually has cross-trained their parties. So all the rest of the ones are still operating as before, and sometimes they're actually adding staff. Allegan did the same thing in 1998. They eliminated one of the positions, and now the clerk Register of Deeds is hired 3 other people that are doing it. So they got rid of one, and got 3 more. So that's about all I have to say, other than echoing the previous comments from the other people. And I would encourage the board to vote against this proposal, and we don't need to bring it up again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Next is Donna Pennington. Donna?
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Pennington. I'm a resident of the city of Muskegon. I am strongly opposed to this sudden proposal to combine the offices of county clerk and register of deeds that some commissioners seem to be rushing to approve. Nancy Waters, our county clerk, is the chief election official in Muskegon County, as you know. She is an expert who functions, in my view, as a consummate professional. She knows the law, the local election officials, she trains election workers, and she knows the equipment that is used. I have participated as a poll watcher and poll challenger in many recent elections, and I am aware of how complicated the rules are and of the complex system of checks and balances that are used. I have personally observed how everyone relies on Clerk Waters' expertise. To add another list of duties and responsibilities to the county clerk at this time seems to be the last thing we would want to do and could undermine her ability to supervise our elections. Both Ms. Waters and Mr. Fairchild were duly elected by the voters of Muskegon County in 2020, less than 1 year ago. I wondered why the county commissioners would want to undermine the clear preference of the people of Muskegon and rush through this change coming for some reason out of the Transportation Committee. This does not seem like an orderly way to conduct business. So please vote no on the proposal to pursue combining these offices. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Susan Newton.
Echo of what everybody else has said.
So you don't need that.
Right.
Okay. Ellen Beal.
I also want to reinforce the things that have already been said. I do find it a little dismaying that we constantly seem to have this chaos caucus of the board that continues to kind of come out of left field or right field in this case, and come up with these ideas that don't really have any kind of rationale or reason for the county board to be really spending their time with this. I just want to point out, and maybe you're not aware, that the current Michigan Redistricting Commission has proposed to split Muskegon County into 4 House districts. Let that sink in, 4 instead of 2. And so the amount of work this is going to place on our clerk is going to be overwhelming. And so for even to consider such a thing at this time as to eliminating the Register of Deeds office and then putting that onus on Nancy Waters, to me, seems very short-sighted and foolish. And I also would like to note that it's a little surprising to me that since the Chaos Caucus has made a number of disparaging remarks towards our clerk and the way that she has conducted herself in elections, I find it more than just a little surprising that now they want to give her an entire additional job. So because of that, I also would just like to take a moment and invite people that are here in favor of keeping both offices to just stand or raise their hand. If you would stand, raise your hand. So you can see that there is a number of people today that are happy with the status quo and that we need to keep things as they are. Please do not eliminate the office of the Register of Deeds. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Beal. Next is Nancy Steyer.
Hello, I too am against combining the clerk's office with the county register of deeds office. I find it ironic and hypocritical that two members of a Republican or two Republican county commissioners are proposing that the clerk take on more duties. Since even President Biden was elected, Republicans have been saying that the election was stolen. They have been looking under rocks for evidence of voter fraud. They haven't found evidence, but they are still charging such a thing. So you would think that out of all the departments of the county, the one that the Republicans would be proposing get a big budget increase would be the clerk's department. But instead of that, they are proposing that the two departments be combined and the clerk take on additional duties. And I just find that unworkable and unjustifiable.
Thank you, Nancy. Next is Jeff Lewis.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to default until the sheriff does his presentation. Could I speak at that time then?
The only other time that you'll get to speak is after we voted.
Okay, then I'll do it now then.
No.
All right, I'll start out with the past. In my tenure of I'm Director Jeff Lewis of the City of Muskegon Police and Fire Departments. In my past, I was a SWAT member for about 10 years in my former agency, and I ended my SWAT career being the commander of that team. One thing that we had to do back then was to give safety equipment for our officers, because especially of the position, and we had to go into the community because that's the whole idea of having an emergency response team or a SWAT team or whatever. So we go out there and perform a specialty service or duty above what a normal police department can offer, such as an active shooter, barricaded gunman, or so on and so forth. So back then, there was a program that just started out as a 1031. We were able to get equipment, safety equipment, defensive equipment through that program, which was helmets, vests, clothing, things like that that made it possible for us to do our jobs at little to no expense to our city, which made our commissioners very happy that we were able to do that because we could perform our job. We didn't have the opportunity to get a vehicle. The reason I brought that up is they didn't have them back then. But one time we did go on a situation that we thought was a barricaded gunman, and so we had enlisted a garbage truck to be instead of a fire apparatus. They didn't want us to use that. We enlisted a garbage truck because we found out that the steel in those trucks were equal to what they would call armor plating. So we got to use a garbage truck to go up the driveway to the house. Now let's flash forward to now. We have an opportunity, and we did seize the opportunity to have a defensive vehicle, a military vehicle brought here. I understand it's not a tracked vehicle, it's a truck. It does have armor plating. It provides a lot of safety and security to our emergency response team that will assist us countywide, any and each department that requests for assistance, whether that be a full-blown emergency response team response, perimeter, you name it. This team, I believe, has spent years in service and again in training to provide that specialty service when there really isn't any other service near this county that could provide it in a timely manner. And so therefore,
your time is up.
okay, so I support keeping the. Thank you.
Okay, next is Judge Pittman.
Good afternoon. My name is Gregory Pittman. I am Judge Pittman, but I am not here in any capacity representing the entire court. I'm here simply voicing my opinion from the board, from the seat of being a judge. And I absolutely respect the idea that our county government explores the avenues that it needs to in order to make sure that we have good consolidated efficient, cost-effective services, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I do want to make the point that we are at the precipice of a really, really big change in our court system. And one of the biggest consumers of the services of the clerk's office is the court system. Our people in this community access the county clerk through the court system. The court system could not survive and thrive without a viable county clerk's office. We have two very, very capable and competent people in those separate positions. But I want to just impress upon you the idea that we're about to have a tremendous turnover in the bench on the circuit court. That's going to call for good, consistent quality services to help the new judges to be able to make the transition into becoming quality judges. We are also, I serve as the chair of the Elections Commission here as part of my responsibility as presiding judge of probate court. And the work that we do there is incredible. And it is in no small part because of the attention, time, and expertise that is paid to it by the clerk's office. Consolidation may not necessarily be the right idea, given the fact that there is the need for these services. The need for these services is going to grow because of the turnover that is coming. And maybe this isn't quite the time for us to have that conversation and make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Pittman. Next is John Gale.
Thank you, Chairman Skolnick. Good afternoon. I'm the Chief of Police, City of North Shores. My name is John Gale. Got a few notes that I'd like to go through as I was thinking after your last county board meeting. I was listening to that meeting and I was completely surprised and shocked that a motion we brought to the table affecting all of Muskegon County law enforcement without our chance to voice our opinions. Thank you for that opportunity today. This decision not only affects the sheriff's office, but all law enforcement, and a lot of them are here today. These vehicles were secured to transport safely law enforcement officers from all agencies into a potential hot zone where they could be under gunfire. They are not assault vehicles. They are simply a personnel carrier that provides protection for the police and to safely secure and protect citizens. We don't want to use a garbage truck to protect our officers. We want to use these armored vehicles. Most of our surrounding counties and many city agencies own these type of vehicles. Kent County, Owego County, Ottawa County, Van Buren County, Oceana, and Mason counties. County boards in these areas believe that protecting their law enforcement and the citizens they serve are important. I want to thank Sheriff Poulin for securing these vehicles at no cost to our taxpayers. Some commissioners have made comments that Muskegon law enforcement doesn't need protection because we're a peaceful community. I would like to any of you that made that comment on Saturday night so you understand what our officers go through while you're sleeping. I would hope in the future that our commissioners reach out to their law enforcement leaders when making these critical decisions, such as this one, to get our advice. It appears that some of our commissioners feel they know more about protecting law enforcement officers than the police chiefs they represent. Did you know that multi-jurisdiction emergency response team is made up of officers from most all representative areas that you're here today?
Chief Gale, I'm afraid your time is up.
All right. I'll end with please reach out making critical decisions in the future for advice from the experts you represent and support your local police officers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have two people on Zoom. The first is Karen Palmer. Karen, could you unmute and the floor?
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Karen Palmer. I wanted to oppose the resolution to promote the casino on moral grounds. It violates my Christian beliefs and biblical principles. I also oppose the draining of the clerks in the Register of Deeds office, at least at this time. I don't understand why this has been brought, and perhaps I'm missing information. What I have seen and heard, including today on this call, is a lot of really good reasons why those two positions should not be joined together. And some of the information that I know the county commissioners have had available to them perhaps has come very quickly, and so it wasn't placed on the agenda. I would like to see that information placed on the agenda before a public hearing is completed for this decision, because the public needs to have all the information available to us so that we can make a more proper and thorough public comment. Lastly, from my perspective, I have heard our county clerk, who I know is on this call, speak and say that she believes our elections have been, quote, excellent. I don't believe that. From where I sit, I believe the last election had problems right here in Muskegon County. She's got a lot of duties all in one office, and I cannot understand why it might be considered a good idea to add more duties onto such an office when we have problems already happening in one area of those duties. So at least from where I sit, from the information available to me right now, I don't feel that it's appropriate to join those two offices together. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Karen. Next up, also on Zoom, is Josie James. Josie, if you could unmute, you got the microphone.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for allowing me to make this comment. I am representing the NAACP Muskegon branch number 3147 regarding the merger of the offices of County Clerk and Register of Deeds. I'm speaking for Eric Hood and 12 of 13 executive members who voted not to support the merging of the county officers of Clerk and Register of Deeds. We considered these reasons. There are some counties, some of them very large, that have merged their offices, but there are also very large counties that have not merged these offices. Therefore, the size of the county is not necessarily a reason to separate offices, but anecdotally, many county clerks with larger populations have regretted the mergers or resisting the merger due to the complex differences between those two offices that would certainly create, more burden on the county clerk's office. Also, there would be no monetary value if the elimination of one of the salary position results in compromised quality and timeliness of service for constituents and business alike. There's no good reason that I have read anywhere to even separate the offices. And also the eliminations of one elected salary position would not take effect, as I understand it, until 2024, when both of the people occupying those offices come up for re-election. So this is not an urgent issue, and I hope that we consider not doing this. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Thank you for your comments. Okay, there's no one else on Zoom. Before I move ahead, we've got a couple of important issues on our agenda today. So if anybody else wants to make public comment, now's the time. Sheriff, do you want to?
Yes, sir. Michael Poulin, County Sheriff. First off, I'd like to thank the area chiefs and their law enforcement officers and staff that are here today. I believe it's important that we recognize the fact that every district represented by this board has a law enforcement representative here today. Today, you have an item for consideration from the Ways and Means Committee, item 116. And of that, many of you have already heard from our area law enforcement leaders and members of our community. I have personally reached out to each of you to schedule a meeting so we may have an opportunity to remove any misinformation, false characterizations, or personal agendas from this issue. In the past, I've shared with you the importance of this equipment to the safety and security of our community and every officer working in Muskegon County. and how we have had to adapt and prepare for those incidences we see happening throughout our country. But frankly, in light of the past weekend's activity, I'm not really sure why this is up for discussion. In just over 27 months, 2 officers from Muskegon County have been shot in the line of duty protecting their communities. I know you understand the violence our men and women in public safety face each day. In fact, in the height of the summer months during our last fiscal year, you approved an additional funding for my office to help support our inner city partners during a period of increased violence. And as bad as these situations may be, each one has the potential to become worse, making it imperative that these resources are available to our officers. You'll have an opportunity to discuss this motion, and I hope you take the time for discussion, not debate. Because when it comes to the lives of officers, there is no room for debate. You can disagree from time to time, but you can never become disagreeable. Again, my office has been pulled in by a member of this commission in their lack of respect, which has created a distrust and divide in our community. We deserve better than this. When a single elected official creates a false narrative about inaccurate information and lies in order to move his personal agenda forward and then openly deny future support for public safety, we all lose. The negative impact this has on our community and the efforts of the men and women serving are not only diminished, but the trust of those representing us is lost.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you, Mr. Skolnick. I just would like the commission to know that I have a presentation prepared for today during discussion that I would like to show if that's going to be possible, if there's any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Yes, sir.
Chief Roger Squires, Whitehall Police Department. I'm the chairman of the Muskegon Cops Board as well. In my 40 years of law enforcement, I worked in several counties. In Muskegon County, I have enjoyed the greatest cooperation of any county I've ever been in. These police departments all work together for a team together. And for little old me up in Whitehall, I can't afford this stuff. I can't do some of these things, and I depend on my partners to come and help me. If you were to take all the 1033 property from my room, you take blankets that I got to put in my cars for people who are accident victims. You would take eyeglasses that we use as safety shields from my range training. These are all 1033 items. It's a little short-sighted to just lump them all in together as a single idea. And for me, having these teams available to come and help me when I've got 2 people within 15 miles, this is something that I desperately need. All these people that I represent up north and you represent up north need this equipment. Please keep it.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, last call. Anybody else? If not, then we will move ahead to item 8, committee and board reports. First is community development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Community Development Strategic Planning Committee met on October 14th, 2021. It was recommended I move CDSP 21/10-31 and CDSP 21/10-32. Support.
Okay, we've had a motion and support for these 2 items. Is there any discussion, comments, anything on this?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have to recuse myself from 32.
Okay. I think we should do a roll call on these.
Yes. Request all. Please.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Seer,
No.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Hughes,
No on 31, yes on 32.
Commissioner Larry,
No on both.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes on both.
Commissioner Pagel,
No on 31, recuse on 32.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes on both.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes, on both.
Five yes, 4 no on 1031. 6 yes, 2 no on 1032.
Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Okay, so they vote. Yes. All right, next is the Transportation Committee, and Mr. Brown, you have to-
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Transportation Committee met on October 14th, 2021, as recommended. I move TR 21/1031, TR 21/1032, TR 21/1033, TR 21/1034, TR 21/1035, TR 21/1036, and TR 21/10-37. Support.
Okay, we've had a motion that's been supported on items 31 through 37. I think I should call attention to the fact that item 37 is the motion to pursue consolidating the clerk's office and registry of deeds office. So I think we need a, yes, sir.
Yes, comment?
Yes.
So item 37, combining the register of deeds and the county clerk's office. I'll remind the board that this is just to move forward to a public hearing. It's not to consolidate them. That is a long, tedious process that won't be completed today. This is the opportunity to hear the public's voices on how they feel about. Right now, we have a politically minded group here today to go in this direction or to vote no. This is just to allow a public hearing on this issue and move the administration forward in this direction. This is not an end deal today. It just opens the door for a public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mrs. Hughes.
I have a couple of comments too. I voted to go ahead and look at the opportunities here, and I have definitely looked at the opportunities. And I've talked to numerous other counties that have done this process, and everyone I talked to said they wish they had not. But I also wanted to tell you, I did talk to my husband, who reminded me that several years ago, before I became a county commissioner, we were building a building, and I was coming downtown. He said, "Will you take this certificate?" It was a notification that we were starting a building, notice of commencement. And I took it down there, and this was before we had the current register of deeds. And behind his desk was, or her desk, that was piled up with big piles of stuff to be filed. And I paid my $9, and she said, "That'll be back to you in 10 to 12 weeks. And I said, 10 to 12 weeks, give me my money back, because my building will be done by then. And I want to tell you that as somebody who uses the register of deeds, that office runs flawlessly. And it is a benefit to our county because, and I'm hoping it'll become a bigger benefit to our county as we progress. And you can see Muskegon progressing. And every time we build a new building, every time some property changes hands, anything like that has to go through the register of deeds office. And I was kind of insulted by the people in the audience that said, eliminating the register of deeds. Nowhere were we saying eliminating the register of deeds, and nowhere were we saying eliminating the clerk's office. We're talking about combining the two. And at this particular time, I don't think that combination is a good thing, so I'll be voting no. And I just wanted you to know my personal reasons for that. And I do believe that growth in Muskegon County that all goes through the Register of Deeds office is a really good reason to keep it.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to make a comment that we were not able to hear from either Nancy Waters or Mr. Fairchild about their opinions on reasons for or against combining these positions. So I contacted Nancy Waters myself. Several of the things have already been said, but she is currently short-staffed. She does plan on running again. She is not planning on retiring. She did not think there'd be any savings because if they were combined and she was the person to do both, she would want to increase in her salary. These are two completely different jobs. In looking at the communication from Mr. Fairchild, and these duplicate some of the things that people you contacted, Susie, said. Number one, the offices need to, if they're going to combine, the offices need to be adjacent to each other. Well, if we're going to move to a new location, the clerk will be here and there, and the register of deeds will be there. They won't be together. They'll be in separate parts of town, even not even across the street. Either it's recommended when one of the two offices resign. A lot of the combinations happen when somebody resigns. As far as I know, neither are planning to resign. The fourth one is, well, basically what he said is they're two totally different jobs. Cross-training is just not viable when you've got totally different jobs, or it's not recommended. Anyway, I think that for reasons given by both of the current office holders and by many of the people here, that I think it's premature, and I don't think it's a good idea to combine these offices. Our clerk, we're going to be facing some difficult next year, a ton of elections with all new districts in county and state and everything else. And this is not the time to do this. And actually, I really don't think it is in the future either, but we're just talking about it right now, so.
Anybody else?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So as stated and in the agenda packet, you can see that this motion is only to have a public hearing to move forward with that, to hear what the public and the taxpayers want. And in no means is this going to take Ms. Waters' job or Ms. Fairchild's job, which is an elected position that does offer 2 open seats at the next election. However, we have the next few years to decide if we want to eliminate one of those seats and combine it to 1 seat. So neither one of them will have a cushy job in 2024. They will both be available to anyone in Muskegon County that's a registered voter to apply for those. So with that said, also by Ms. Waters' own admittance a couple months ago during one of our meetings, she admitted that she does not know her job duties in totality, and she also has neglected to take training to know her job fully because she didn't want to. Secondly, when asked, she also has not done any cross training, and that's why she's had to bring back other people and also make motions to hire short-term staff because she has not cross trained. That is negligent on the duties of what we've elected her to do. That is not a good steward of taxpayers' money. And I worked for other businesses and organizations, and cross-training is pretty normal these days, and to not cross-train is very negligent. And that was directed at her then, and I know we can't make an elected official do something, but I would like to look at Ottawa County. I think someone in the public comment actually noted that Ottawa County does have an exemplary staff of combining those 2 positions of clerk and registered deeds because they did cross-train. And I'll highly recommend it again, in any position in our county. We're spending taxpayers' money to fund that. It needs to be cross-trained. So if that person is not available, that it can be picked up flawlessly and still completed. And I will vote yes for the consolidation of this position because there are many successful counties in Michigan that have done it successfully because they're not negligent and they do take the taxpayers' monies and are being good stewards of it.
Okay, anybody else? Yes.
I would agree. I think we need to dig into this a little bit more. So I think in voting yes on this, from my understanding, would give us that opportunity to do that.
Okay. Yes, Charles.
Mr. Chair, I think, we somewhere said, without a vision, the people perish. And I think that this motion came out of political blindness. When we look at trying to combine our registered deeds in our clerk's office, I don't think we even understand the totality of what those jobs do individually in themselves. And we have had exemplary services from Nancy Waters and Mark Fairchild for decades. And all of a sudden, there's something wrong with that. And I don't get it. We have huge business owners that deal with the registered deeds. Right now, probably is one of the strongest times we had in the last decade of all the homes and the buildings being built, and this is going to continue to build and grow. It's not going to get to be a small job. We also have a clerk's office who is going to be expanding upon more judges coming in, more cases coming in, and she's already at a point where she's, like most of our departments, short on staff and trying to figure out ways to get that. And I don't know how in that type of way of trying to train people just coming in, do you want to cross-train someone? You don't have enough time to do that. You're just barely trying to get them to get in to understand what you do in your department, let alone trying to do it with someone else's. I think we're asking way too much. We're not using any type of vision. We're just using our political sense. And we really need to understand what we're doing. And I don't think that this is a smart decision. I don't think it's going to be lucrative. And if you listen to your people in your public, they do not want this either. So let's not keep putting, and I think the whole motion in itself is flawed, because if you look at what the corporate counsel has given us, there is not a place in here where it says for the administration to pursue this. So I think it's in error to direct the administration to pursue it, because this is supposed to be coming from the commission. So I think the motion itself is in error. And I think this is because we have not taken time to understand what we're doing. We're just trying to make quick motions, and we're making them wrong, and we're making them in error. And talking about this for a public hearing, that was never mentioned when this motion was brought up, but it's been mentioned today because they see this letter that comes from corporate counsel. So I think we're in error, but I also definitely will not support looking into this any further, because I believe both departments have enough on their hand and they run flawless at this time.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank our administrator, Mike Eisenbart, putting that memo together and giving us some background information. And I do want to, the second paragraph, that the county must hold not less than one public hearing in the question combining two offices. And I think this is still going to be pursued and some additional information. Guess my only other personal comment is change is hard, isn't it? And so sometimes we have to make these decisions and get some, I agree with Mr. Nash, that we need to get some additional information, but I think we have to look at possibilities, what's best for the county, and if this works, it's something that we can take a look at down the road. So thank you.
Okay, anybody else? If not, this is ready to vote, right?
Right,
There's
and
a
so
motion
this-
that was supported.
This is to vote to have a public hearing, then the public.
That's
it'll be
not what it
published.
is.
No,
That's not what it
on the
says.
whole, on everything.
Don't
Okay,
change it.
if this gets passed, the next step
Nobody
step
said
to
that.
pursue,
Nobody said that.
but that is the way it is,
That's
trust me,
not what
that
this
wasn't
motion
said.
says. You're just adding to it, and you're out of turn, and so am I.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Pega.
to clarify so that everyone understands, if this motion passes, the next step, corporate counsel, correct me if I'm wrong, would be to hold a public hearing. So if the motion passes, then we hold a public hearing, then the public can speak on it, correct?
That's correct.
Yes, thank you. That's correct.
Okay, so what I was asking was, and because there's been a lot of speaking, there was this motion, there was a motion, and it was. Is that correct? Okay.
Repeat the motion.
It's the motion for everything, Mr. Chairman.
31 to 37.
Yeah, 31 to
Oh,
37.
we're gonna vote on all together?
Yes.
No, we're gonna vote on it all together, but just like anything, if you want to vote no on 37, then you say I vote on all, but yes on everything but 37, and that I vote. Okay, so, sorry, roll call.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Harvey Wright,
Yes on 31 through 36, no on 37.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes on 31 through 36, no on 37.
Commissioner Larry,
Yes on all.
Vice Chair Nash,
No on 37, yes on the rest.
Commissioner Pego,
No on 31 through 36, yes on 37.
Commissioner Wilkins,
No on all.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes on all.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes on 31 through 36, no on 37.
10:31, we have 7 yes, 2 no. 10:32, 7 yes, 2 no. 10:33, 6 yes, 3 no. 10:34, 7 yes, 2 no. 10:35, 7 yes, 2 no. 10:36, 7 yes, 2 no. 10:37, 4 yes, 5 no.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. No, I would, some people like to say, I'm having up the clerk at this meeting. No, it failed. Next up is the Ways and Means, report for the Ways and Means. Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Ways and Means Committee met on October 19th, 2021. It was recommended, and I move on WM 21/10 -110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, and 116.
Support.
Okay, I had a motion and supported. I would concerned about item 116. So.
You need a
if we
roll
vote-
call anyway
if we
for the
vote for this,
finances.
Yes.
But I have a question about that too, because I think if we rescind if we vote no on 116, then it goes back to 30 days.
That's correct.
And I would like to ask the process for rescinding number 116.
So, meaning
To rescind getting rid of the vehicles.
do you mean rescinding the motion or?
The original motion, it would be, yes.
So you could rescind the original motion by a majority vote, if that's what you're
Yeah,
asking
so
for,
that would
of
be
the
to
original
rescind-
motion for the 30-day timeframe.
Right.
So you could do that in alternative to or in addition to the postponement motion. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, where do I do that? I mean, do I do that now
County Clerk's
or
office.
I'm not sure what the procedure
To
is.
do the motion to rescind.
Right.
Probably during the at the end of the meeting during unfinished or new business.
The only one that could make that motion would be somebody who voted in the affirmative.
Correct. On
So
the opposite side.
hopefully we will do. So, or we can,
Do we have a-
vote for it,
can
we
we-
could vote for it the way it is and deal with it in another meeting.
If we vote for it the way it is right now, it would postpone for 30 days any action on that. Or 60 days, any action. So we'll be able to hear from all of the local municipalities and police departments and emergency response teams before we make a decision. That gives us 30 days. 60 days. I want to keep saying 30, but it's 60 days. Yes.
So if anybody who voted in the affirmative wants to rescind the original motion, you could do it now.
Could you tell us who voted in the affirmative in the original motion?
I did.
I know you did.
And I did.
No.
And you did. I can look it up.
I did. It's
Yeah, that's. Somebody tell us.
The vote was 5-4.
Yeah, Commissioner Sear, Commissioner Hughes, Commissioner Laring, Commissioner Pago, and Commissioner Brown. Affirmative.
okay. I have another question.
Yeah.
If I vote to rescind that motion, does that negate this?
Yes.
Right, but I still believe it.
Yes, if this is in reference to that motion was rescinded, then it should stand.
But if
My
it's,
understanding has to take place in unfinished business. It wouldn't be
I think
entertained at this moment.
so if we approve this one, we're safe for 60 days and I could still rescind it. And
Correct, yes. I think the motion to rescind, you're right, should be probably more properly made under unfinished business.
okay,
or new business.
but either way, we protected ourselves for 60 days if we vote yes on this.
Of the postponement, this
Yes.
pending motion, correct, yes.
Right.
Okay, so, all right, and excuse me, should we, somebody made a motion for everything?
Jim made a motion, I second
Yeah,
it.
it's been seconded.
All right, so the motion is made. Anybody else have any other comments?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
So I just would remind the commissioners about their constituents. Item 116, if you brought it to your constituents for a millage, how many of your constituents, because they're going to have to pay to store this thing. Right now, you keep this equipment by, there's no budget for storage. This equipment has to be moved out of this piece of property. So you have to take money from another department or the general fund and figure out a storage location for this. This piece of equipment was not asked your permission to purchase. There was no line item budget for storage. And so you're going to determine that you're going to carve out a director's area for storage of this kind of equipment, point one. And do you really think that we've heard it from a number of law enforcement officers today that support this equipment? I know Sheriff Poulin doesn't like debate, but I'm going to give debate on this. I just had a heavy pick on a job site. There was discussion about, hey, we could do this pick with a helicopter. It'd be a cool photo op. We could get the news out here. And then we had to determine who would pay for it. Oh, well, we'll just get a bigger crane. That's what we have here, a piece of equipment that the county has actually acquired, but there's no budget to store. So if you don't get rid of this equipment, you're going to carve out money. He's already asked for $3 million of park money to store this equipment. Now you're going to have to figure out whose department has to pay for the storage of this. And there's been discussion about stuffing it out to the Board of Public Works. The Board of Public Works hasn't approved that rental agreement. So we're going to hear this again. My point on this, think to yourself, would your constituents support a millage to acquire and store this stuff? I don't think my constituents would support the purchase and storage of a building for this piece of equipment.
Yes, Charles.
Mr. Chair, I think this is really again, somewhat nonsensical situation. You've got law enforcement sitting right here, pleading with this board on how important this equipment is to them in saving their lives. And not only that, but probably saving our lives. You've had officers offer, take a ride along with them Friday, Saturday night. I would love to see you do that because I know the kind of work that they put in. I've had family do law enforcement. I know how busy it gets. I know how tight it is, but I don't know it like they know because I don't sit in that car and I don't deal with those people every day. I believe everything that they say. And I tell you what, for us to be sitting here debating about this, it's not going to cost us $3 million. I already made a motion before. All we had to do was pay the fee that we needed to pay for the storage. That was minimal. You're talking $24,000 for the whole year. That would be 10 years, $240,000, way less than $3 million. It's not going to break us. We could do that, but we're sitting here discussing and arguing about what we need to do to help our law enforcement protect us. Maybe it's not used every day, but I guarantee you, we would want it there if we were stuck in that situation. If you ended up having a gunman barricade with you in the house, you sure want to see that tank coming to get you. So I don't think we're arguing about anything that makes any sense. I think we're just grabbing at straws again. We got blinded by political issues. Our law enforcement has been doing a great job. Sheriff Poole has been trying to do the best he can with what he was given. And I think he's doing a great job. And we've been able to bring this equipment in to help them. We got every chief in town here supporting this. I think we're out of place.
Marcia?
Yeah, and first of all, I think the most important thing to consider is the protection of our law enforcement. And this clearly will help in a dangerous situation where you got an active shooter. The whole issue of storage, I think, is a false issue. My guess is that there's, in all these police departments, someplace we can store those vehicles. I really don't think that's an issue. I think you've made that up. You've created it actually by getting the Fair Board to kick them out. So anyway, I am going to be voting. I'm going to be rescinding this at some point whenever we can do that.
Okay, yes, Susan.
I just have one comment. I'm the one that made this motion in the first place because I felt like I didn't give my local police departments the opportunity to have a say. And they're the people that are going to be protecting me and you and all of our families. And if I did something that did not give me the opportunity to listen to everything they say, and one of them died, or one of your kids died, or one of your grandkids died, I would always feel bad. So that's why I think this is an important thing, to give our police officers in our communities an opportunity to discuss with us before we make a decision.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I keep hearing, I understand where the law enforcement community is coming from, and I appreciate the law enforcement community and all that the law enforcement community does for this county. I'm just not sure that is the only option. I have some information here. The Muskegon County Emergency Response Team back in 2015 apparently was dissolved, and there was 2 military vehicles, type vehicles that were liquidated. The reason they were disbanded was that they were seldom used and that the state police team could handle any emergency. The Michigan State Police District Commander Captain David Rossler at the time, he said that the Michigan State Police team has 8 members in the district, equipment located in the area and can get to Muskegon County area in a timely manner when called. We have all kinds of assets in the area, Rossler said. It's not like this is something that the community is going to go without. We're happy to provide at no cost to these agencies. Our team, that's what we do. They do it all over the state and they're really good at it. Isn't this, well, this is old. This is back from 2015. So I know it was a long time ago, but couldn't we, have the state police come and do their thing instead of having to, put you guys at risk?
2 hours later.
Just to comment.
Yes.
Timely manner.
And I would like to just comment on that because that's exactly what I said too, until I talked to my police chief, because in Muskegon Township, we have the state police post. And I was a little bit offended that Sheriff Woolen said, well, that's not the kind of help we need, because I felt like he's kind of slimed my municipality and it kind of ticked me off. But when my police chief said, no, he's right, because the police that we have in Muskegon Township are deputies and officers from the state police, not their emergency response vehicles or team. So that made me think that that's when I realized I made a mistake in the first place. That's why I brought this. I want to hear from all these people who are out there protecting us.
Yes.
I think we should hear from Michigan State Police also.
All right, I'm going to make a couple of comments here. I remember at that meeting, Sheriff Pullen spoke and said, I think he's been in law enforcement for 35 years and he's never used his weapon. And does that mean, if you don't use it in 35 years, I guess you don't need it, right? Is that how that works? I don't know. I remember when I was on the city council in Norton Shores voting to buy some expensive fire equipment that we seldom use, but you need it. And I remember for Y2K, I went out and bought a generator. I've used it once in 20 years, but I'm glad I bought it. And I'm glad it's sitting there. So sometimes in the business we're in, you buy things to protect people and you may not need them very often, but you still should have them. I just want to say these vehicles were given to us. I understand there's a storage cost. It's minimal. The $24,000 that Charles Nash mentioned was for the entire building. Our percentage of that building was around 25%, if I remember right. And that wasn't just, there was other equipment in there. There was also hazmat equipment in there, and I think there were three agencies.
Sheriff Hazmat, emergency management.
Yeah, there were 3 different departments that would share the cost. Could we find a cheaper place to store it? Probably, but it was heated, and it was safe, and it was plowed, and it was ready to go. And it's sort of in the middle of the community. So I think the cost of having this equipment is minimal. And actually, I did a little research on buying a piece of this that was more civilianized. And it was hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a similar piece of equipment. And we don't own it. We borrowed it from the federal government. It can be returned. Do we need 2? We probably should discuss that. I don't know. The big one will carry quite a few more people than the small one. So if you need to get more than 2 or 3 people in, you can do that. It can be used as a shield. Do I want to go out to a hazardous site where there's gunfire and have a garbage truck in front of me? I don't think so. I mean, if it works, if that's all you got, that's fine. But this equipment is costing minimal money. So anyway, okay. What's your last comment?
I just want to clarify the procedure. So if we're in support of keeping these vehicles, we want to vote yes on 116, and then under new business or unfin, no.
Yeah, that would be, you could do that later.
Do that later, then we rescind it at a later point with one of the yes
If
votes.
there's a vote.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
All right, so we'll do a roll call. on this.
Commissioner Heavy Rate,
yes.
on
Oh,
all.
no.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Larry,
No on 116, yes on the rest.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Pagel,
No on 110, no on 111, no on 112, yes on 113 through 115. I'm sorry. No on 110, 111, 112, yes on 113, 114, 115, and no on 116. No one has still, I just want to make this comment, no one has provided yet a cost on maintenance, gas, training, fuel for these vehicles, and I'm still waiting for that.
Commissioner Pagel, could you please repeat 110 through 114?
110 through 112, no. 113 through 115, yes. In 116, no.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes, on all.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes, on all.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on all, because we need more discussion on 116.
and Chairman Skolnick.
Yes, yes, I'm all. Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Chair, that concludes my.
Oh, yeah, well, why don't you read it count if you can?
Sure. 110, 8-1 yes, no, 111, 8-1, 8 yes, 1 no, 112, 8 yes, 1 no, 113, 9 yes, 0 no, 114, 9 yes, 0 no, 115, 9 yes, 0 no, and 116, 7 yes, 2 no.
Okay, thank you. All right, that completes the committee reports. We're on to the chairman's report and any, I'll ask if there are any committee liaison reports. Anybody wants to report out?
I'll give a report for West Michigan Works, Michigan Employment Agency. I think we have 6 or 7 counties for our area met yesterday, and they voted to, there was an opportunity to change the bylaws. They did not take the opportunity to change the bylaws or the counties that are represented. That comes up every few years, and they did not want to change the counties that participate in that structure. So I was happy for that vote yesterday. They did change the step and wage grades. They eliminated 3 of them and brought them up to be with more fair market in hopes of helping to provide more employment.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Brown?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Department of Health and Human Services, which I'm on the advisory committee, provided a strategic plan for the department. Tried sending it to Kathy, but because of the size of the file, it really didn't go through, but I will get that back to, so all the commissioners can take a look at. Very good information. The report was very well done. And I just want to make that comment to the commissioners.
So, Mr. Brown, you're sending us a file so big it won't go through.
Yeah, it didn't go through. Either that or was a error on my part, which it probably was.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have one more.
Okay.
I also sit on the WeMet policy board, and we met today. And a lot of you might be happy to know, they have applied for the fiscal year 2022 burn grant. A lot of counties or task force have applied for that and were denied, and they were accepted and also are going to get that increase that was also achieved last year. So that's good for that.
Okay, Marcia.
On the Health West board, we will get a final resolution on the $12 million that is owed to the county. I think it's November 23rd, that week, third week in November, but that's the deadline. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I typically, I assume people have heard, I am representative to the district library board and our the director of the district library, Kelly Richards, has accepted a new position. I don't know if everybody's aware of this or not. He's moving to become the director and president of the Free Library of Philadelphia. It has 760 employees, 53 branches, and a budget of $45 million. And I'm sorry to see him leave, but oh my God, I can't. How can you keep that away from somebody? He's been there 7 years. We're in the process. We have 10 branches. We remodeled 7. The other 3 are in the stages of being remodeled. 3 of them have that Storyville program. The 4th is underway. And every time there's a job opening, we get dozens of employees, and I think there are dozens of applications. And Kelly is just a fantastic individual. So it's good news from him. Okay, chairman's report. I've got 3 appointments that I am recommending. One is the citizen appointment of Donald Ames to the Solid Waste Planning Committee, term through 12/31/23.
Do we need a motion on that?
Well, we'll do them all at once, if that's okay. The second one is the Muskegon Area District Library appointment of myself, Robert Stolnick, term through 12/31/2024. I should also mention I serve as vice chair of that. And then the third one is the Muskegon County Building Authority Board appointment. Angela, I'm gonna do this. G.
The interim finance director?
Yeah, our interim finance director. Yes. Help me. Okay.
No, she wants you to say it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have a question. So is this an additional position or the same position you already have that you're being? Same position, okay, thank you.
And that last one, the term is through 12/31/2024. So.
Can we have these separated into 3 different votes? Thank you.
All right, we'll vote on the first one, the citizen appointment of Donald Ames. Why don't we do roll call? So move. Oh, yeah.
Support.
Okay, we have motions.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pagel,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavy Right,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, the second one is the Muskegon Area District Library appointment of Robert Skolnick through 12/31/2024.
So moved.
Support. Roll call on that, please.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pagel,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavy Right,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
Can you pronounce that name?
I love that word.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay, and then the final one is the Muskegon County Building Authority Board appointment of Angela.
So moved.
All right, roll call on that one, please.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pagel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavy Right,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
9 yes.
So I'd like to point out that I'm the only one that didn't get your name.
Well, that one doesn't count.
All right, we'll move on to the administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only item I have today is to remind or inform the city of Muskegon Heights is working on organizing a rally in Lansing to support the Little River Band at Ottawa Indians Casino. the morning of November 9th. And as the more information comes in, I'll be willing to share it with the board.
That is so.
That is it. Thank you.
All right, next is unfinished business. Anybody got any unfinished business? Okay, new business? Anybody? Now, public comment pretty much on anything. Anybody?
I don't see anybody online.
Mr. Chair, I did have a portion of business, just by what we heard today.
Is this public comment or you want to do it under the final?
Under new business.
We already
Wait,
passed
point of
that.
order, we moved down.
What I was trying to do was,
Point of order.
can we pursue this discussion of keeping the sheriff's equipment where it is now and paying the base fee that we had talked about for the administrator? That would only cost us $24,000 per year for all of those.
I think we moved on from.
You moved on to public comment.
Yeah, we're at public comment. You can bring it up under.
Final board
I didn't
comment.
realize we were gonna move that fast.
Okay, well,
He's fast.
all right, so if there's no public comment, then we'll move on to final board comments. And go ahead, Charles. Do it again.
Okay. What I would like to see us is to pursue, looking at and pursuing, keeping the sheriff in the storage facilities that he's currently in now, and just paying the base fee for those different storage units. I think this is where we got things mixed up and started going into, he needs to get out here and get out there. We just keep him where he's at, I think it'll be fine. And the problem was there was some complaints about us not paying for them. But as we saw from the cost that our administration showed us, it would only cost us $24,000 per year to keep them there.
For 3 departments.
For three.
For all those, yeah,
Yeah.
and so we don't even have to get into the 3 million discussion, and we can pursue other avenues later on as we see fit. But I think this is just a good solution for us for now, and we can move other discussions down the road. But I don't think we need to have the sheriff concerned about trying to move somewhere when we have plenty of space from the state, and we're paying I think the cheapest fee we're going to pay is to ourselves.
Is that a motion?
No, you can't make a
You can't make. a
No,
motion,
it's
no.
just a comment.
No, it's just a comment. Marcia, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we need to know if it's available to us, because I don't know where the third board is with that.
We're speaking at the airport.
What?
You're speaking at the airport?
I'm talking about all of the facilities.
Oh,
That includes the fairgrounds and wherever else you have storage. Right now, and I don't want to get into it here, but I know that the fair board, I think, was misrepresented. And I don't believe that they were in an urgency to move him anywhere. And that's the information that I have gathered. I was already suspicious of that, but I was even contacted, didn't even try to pursue it. But I was contacted by different ones that shared that they felt like they were misrepresented. And they were not in a hurry to use that facility. They didn't need it for another year.
Okay, Tim, did you want?
I thought we were trying to vacate the airport building so we could lease that out and create some revenue with that building. Is that not the case?
We can look at whatever we want to look at. I'm just saying for the time being, let's just keep him where he's at, and pay that fee if we decide to do something.
Yeah, I recognize it. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was my question. I thought that was one of the reasons that we wanted to vacate the airport building. Yes, no, maybe.
When all this comes back, and I think it will, then we can get all these facts, because if they're paying, like one of the contentions was that the sheriff, all these departments not paying anything to store equipment was actually costing the airport money. And we were subsidizing the airport up until this year. So if we paid rent to the airport, then that sort of negates that, that problem. And I think, I don't know if there's somebody that owns an airplane that wants to rent that hangar. I do not know. But Mark,
I guess that's what.
Yes, I'll bring back the numbers.
Okay. Okay, final board comments, that's it. It's only 4:24.
yeah, can't believe it.
We're adjourned.